She took one bite of her breakfast and instantly knew something was terribly wrong. The metallic taste, the burning sensations spreading through her throat, the way her mother-in-law's eyes lingered just a second too long as she handed over that plate. In that horrifying moment, Maya Thompson from Houston, Texas, became convinced she was being poisoned by the one person who should have welcomed her into the family. Before we dive into what really happened in this shocking case that turned a family upside down, drop a comment below telling us what state you're watching from. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because stories like this one will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the people closest to you. Maya had married into what seemed like the perfect Texas family. Her husband Daniel came from old money, the kind that built neighborhoods and had streets named after ancestors. His mother, Patricia Thompson, was Houston society royalty, a woman whose charity galas made the papers, and whose disapproval could be felt from across the room. From the moment Maya and Daniel announced their engagement, Patricia's warmth had been performative at best, calculated at worst. The microaggressions were constant. Comments about Maya's natural hair, surprise at her Ivy League education, questions about her family's background that always seemed to carry an unspoken judgment. But it wasn't until Maya and Daniel moved into the guest house on the Thompson estate, temporarily while their own home was being renovated, that things took a darker turn. Patricia insisted on preparing breakfast every Sunday, a family tradition she claimed was non-negotiable. Daniel thought it was sweet. Maya felt trapped. Week after week, she'd sit at that pristine dining table, Patricia watching her eat with those sharp blue eyes, criticism ready to spring from her perfectly lipsticked mouth. Then came that Sunday morning in late September. The breakfast looked beautiful as always. Scrambled eggs with herbs, fresh fruit, artisan toast. But the moment Maya lifted her fork, something felt off. The eggs had a strange smell she couldn't quite place. She took a small bite anyway, not wanting to offend, and immediately her mouth filled with a bitter chemical taste that made her gag. Her throat began to burn. Her stomach churned violently. Patricia's face remained completely neutral as Maya pushed her plate away, asking if anyone else tasted something strange. Daniel, already halfway through his portion, said everything tasted fine. Patricia's lips curved into the faintest smile as she suggested Maya might be coming down with something. Perhaps she was too delicate for a proper Southern breakfast. That's when the fear truly set in. Maya excused herself and drove straight to the emergency room, convinced she'd been poisoned. The doctors ran tests, drew blood, checked for everything from common toxins to rare poisons. While she waited for results, Maya's mind spiraled through every true crime podcast she'd ever heard, every news story about family members slowly poisoning their victims. She called Daniel in tears, told him she thought his mother was trying to kill her. He was furious, told her she was being paranoid, that her suspicions were insulting to his family. But Maya couldn't let it go. She hired a private investigator, a former detective named Marcus Reed who specialized in domestic cases. She gave him samples of the food she'd managed to save, told him about every strange interaction with Patricia, every Sunday breakfast where she'd felt sick afterward but dismissed it as nerves. For 2 weeks, Maya lived in fear, barely eating, jumping at shadows, seeing malice in every interaction with her mother-in-law. When Marcus finally called her to his office, Maya prepared herself for the worst. She imagined the police being called, Patricia being arrested, her marriage falling apart. Instead, Marcus handed her a folder and told her to sit down for what he was about to reveal. The food had been tested. There was no poison. No toxins, nothing harmful at all. Maya felt a wave of relief, then confusion, then embarrassment. But Marcus held up his hand. He wasn't finished. He'd done something else, something Maya hadn't asked for, but he felt was necessary. He'd investigated Maya herself, specifically her medical history. And he'd found something her own doctors had missed for years. Maya had a severe, previously undiagnosed autoimmune condition, one that caused violent reactions to certain foods, particularly eggs and dairy when combined with stress. The symptoms mimicked poisoning exactly. Burning throat, nausea, metallic taste, stomach pain. The condition had been triggered and worsened by the extreme stress of living under Patricia's hostile scrutiny. Her body had literally been attacking itself. And Maya had blamed the wrong person entirely. The truth froze Maya to her core. Not because Patricia was innocent of poisoning, though that was shocking enough, but because of what it meant. She had been so consumed by suspicion, so ready to believe the worst, that she'd missed what was actually destroying her. Her own body had become her enemy while she'd been looking everywhere else for threats. The racism she'd experienced from Patricia was real, the microaggressions were real, the coldness and judgment were real. But the poisoning had never been. Marcus explained that this was more common than people realized. The human body under severe psychological stress can manifest symptoms that seem impossible, that mimic intentional harm. Maya's distrust of Patricia, entirely justified by Patricia's treatment of her, had created a narrative that her body then reinforced. It was a devastating cycle, and Maya had been trapped in it without knowing. She had to go home and apologize. She had to tell Daniel she'd been wrong about the poisoning while still being right about everything else. She had to face Patricia knowing that while there was no poison in the food, there had been poison in the relationship all along, just not the kind that shows up in blood tests. The family dynamics shifted after that day. Maya moved out of the guest house immediately, got treatment for her condition, and set firm boundaries with Patricia. Daniel finally opened his eyes to his mother's behavior, seeing clearly what he'd been excusing for years. Patricia never acknowledged her cruelty, but she kept her distance. Sometimes the truth isn't what we expect. Sometimes the danger we're looking for isn't where we think it is. And sometimes, the real poison isn't in the food at all, it's in the relationships that slowly destroy us from the inside out. What would you have done in Maya's situation? Let us know in the comments below.